You wake up with a jolt, not to the shrill insistence of an alarm, but to the subtle shift in the air, the first pale light filtering through the canopy above your makeshift shelter. Your body is already humming, awake and alert, scanning the pre-dawn world. Your senses are alive. You hear the rustle of leaves, the distant call of an unknown bird, the steady breathing of your family beside you. For 99% of human history, this wasn't a hypothetical. This was simply morning. This was how your ancestors experienced the daily cycle of rest and vigilance. They didn't hit snooze. They didn't dread the Monday morning commute. But their sleep, the very act of surrendering to unconsciousness, was profoundly different from your own. Today, nearly 1 in 3 adults struggles with chronic sleep deprivation, lying awake in beds designed for ultimate comfort, yet finding no peace. Why is it that the most technologically advanced society in history often struggles most with this fundamental biological need? Perhaps the problem isn't your body's wiring, but the world you've built around it. Your ancient brain, you see, expects a very different kind of night. Consider the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies on Earth. Their sleep patterns offer a profound window into your ancestral past. Researchers like evolutionary anthropologist David Sampson from Duke University have spent years observing their nocturnal habits. He found that, on average, Hadza adults sleep less than you might expect for a healthy human, often just 5.7 to 7.1 hours per night. This contrasts sharply with the 7 to 9 hours recommended for modern adults. But here's the critical difference. These shorter sleep durations don't come with the fatigue, the brain fog, or the chronic diseases associated with modern sleep deprivation. You might drift off for a few hours after dusk, then wake naturally in the dead of night. This period of quiet wakefulness, often lasting an hour or two, was not a struggle with insomnia. It was a normal, even valuable part of the human sleep cycle. You might tend the fire, check on your children, or simply sit in contemplation, processing the day's events. Then, as the night wore on, you would fall back into another deep sleep until dawn. Neuroscientist Dr. Jerome Siegel, a leading expert on sleep in various species, has studied this segmented sleep pattern in detail. He suggests that the modern concept of an uninterrupted 8-hour block of sleep is a relatively recent invention, largely a product of the Industrial Revolution and the advent of artificial lighting. Before electric lights flooded your world, extending the day and pushing back the natural onset of sleep, your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm, operated on a different schedule. Your ancestors didn't worry about getting enough sleep in a single block. They worried about predators. They worried about rivals. They worried about the cold. These real, tangible threats shaped their sleep architecture. Do you think a hunter-gatherer worried about whether they'd get exactly 8 hours tonight? Archaeological evidence, while not directly telling us about sleep duration, gives us clues about sleeping arrangements. Early hominin sites, for instance, don't show dedicated, permanent sleeping structures. Instead, scattered hearths and activity areas suggest flexible use of space. At sites like Grotte du Lazaret in France, researchers found evidence of crude shelters dating back 170,000 years, with simple bedding likely made of furs or grasses on the ground. These weren't designed for isolated, individual slumber. Your sleep was a communal activity. Think about it. A small group vulnerable in the vast darkness. Who would stand guard? The idea of everyone falling into a deep, solitary slumber simultaneously was a recipe for disaster. This communal aspect of ancient sleep provided safety through numbers, and often, through staggered wakefulness. Someone was always listening. Someone was always watching. This might sound like a recipe for constant stress and poor sleep, but here's the counterintuitive twist. The constant presence of danger, the genuine need for vigilance, may have actually fostered a healthier and more adaptive sleep system than the one you experience today. Your brain, evolved over millions of years, is designed to respond to real-world threats. When threats are constant and real, your sleep system adapts by becoming more robust, more flexible, and perhaps paradoxically, less prone to the anxieties that plague modern sleepers. Consider the hyperarousal theory of insomnia. Many modern individuals struggle to sleep because their minds are racing, filled with anxieties about work, finances, or even the very act of not sleeping. Your ancient ancestors didn't have these abstract, self-referential worries. Their anxieties were concrete. The rustle in the bushes, the fading embers of the fire. When these specific threats were resolved or managed, the body could more readily relax. Your brain wasn't fighting against itself. It was fighting against external dangers. When your body did finally rest, it was often a deep, restorative sleep, punctuated by these natural awakenings. There was no pressure to achieve a specific duration or quality of sleep. You simply slept when you could and awoke when necessary. The natural rhythms of light and dark, dictated by the sun and moon, governed your internal clock far more powerfully than any artificial schedule. Today, your world is awash in artificial light. Streetlights, screens, overhead fluorescence. They constantly send signals to your ancient brain that it's not truly night. This light pollution disrupts your natural melatonin production, the hormone that tells your body it's time to wind down. Your ancestors knew only the soft glow of fire and the vast, starlit dark. You are also insulated from the elements. Climate control, soft bedding, noise-canceling headphones. These create a sensory deprivation chamber. While seemingly beneficial, this disconnects your body from the subtle cues of temperature, sound, and light that once helped regulate your sleep cycles. Your ancient body expects to feel the slight drop in temperature at night, to hear the natural sounds of the world, not the manufactured hum of your air conditioner. What can you take from this ancient wisdom? You cannot, and arguably should not, revert to sleeping on the cold ground under the stars, constantly vigilant against predators. But you can acknowledge that your modern sleep struggles are not a personal failing, but often a mismatch between your ancient biology and your modern environment. Perhaps it's not about achieving a perfect, unbroken 8-hour stretch, but about reestablishing a more natural rhythm. Can you dim the lights in the evening, allowing your body to recognize the onset of night? Can you disconnect from screens a little earlier, giving your mind space to decompress? Can you find moments of quiet contemplation in the dark, much like your ancestors did during their natural nocturnal awakenings? Your ancestors didn't have sleep disorders in the same way you do. They lived in a world where sleep was a flexible, adaptive, and communal act, intimately connected to the rhythm of the planet and the safety of the group. The next time you settle into your comfortable bed, struggling to quiet your mind, remember that your body is still wired for that ancient night. It is yearning for the deep, restorative rest your ancestors found, not by chasing an elusive ideal, but by simply waking up when their body was ready.